So you don't believe the president is the most powerful person in the world?
Oh, no.
Okay, so when I asked him
Well,
the question,
I mean, he's the most powerful acknowledged one, but the people in this organization have more power.
So here's what I asked him. I want to get your reaction from this. Rob, if you want to play the clip, did you catch when it was? It's 1 hour, 10 minutes, and did you find it, Rob?
Yes, give me 1 second.
I think it's 1:10:08.
Yep.
Watch this clip
There
here.
you go.
Who were the people
I
that are
get
like,
it.
oh, I got you. You have, I
get
never
it.
thought you had power. Who actually has
The
power?
most powerful person by far, the president. Power over everybody. Power. The power is enormous.
Most people don't believe that.
It is. But there is a sort of a deep state. And a lot of that's people that have been there. And then there's some bad guys. There's some bad people. Then there's a radical left, which I think are more dangerous in many ways than the other countries. I really do. You know, guys like Shifty Adam Schiff and other people. They're bad people. They're sort of sick people. Not stupid people either, by the way. Smart
Of course,
people.
sure.
But they're vicious. But they're very bad for our
But is
country.
Adam Schiff powerful?
Can you imagine? Well, he made up the Russia hoax. He and Hillary.
What I'm saying is, who is their boss? Who calls them and say, you better or else?
I think it's an amorphous group. It's a group. It's not one person. It's an amorphous group of lunatics. And when they come together, they're pretty bad. But let me just say this. The president has the absolute, if the president, now Biden doesn't know he's alive, so I don't think I really believe they used him as a vessel.
You can pause it right there. You agree with them?
Yes, in terms of an acknowledged position, the presidency is the most powerful. So the president is the office of the president, but you only have the power you use, right? So let's talk about that. If the biggest secret in human history and the most corrupt enterprise in the United States history, which is what we're talking about with these legacy operations dealing with UAPs and UFOs, is unchecked, and they have the ability to move the chess pieces around, to ignite wars, to ignite terrorist attacks, to create all kinds of problems, you have the power to checkmate those folks. But if you don't use it, then you don't have it. Use it or lose it. So the president, the government of the United States, and here's something I would like to bring up. We have in here, I've given you prima facie proof of criminal activity related to this subject. Where is the FBI? Where is the Department of Justice? Where is Congress, and where is the White House? Nowhere. So one of the problems is, let's take, for example, something that's going to upset you. If it doesn't, it should. If let's say that you're in one of these remote areas in the desert and you're using these assets to kind of target non-human craft, and then you have an electromagnetic pulse weapon to knock it and bring it down.
Right.
They put up what's called a TFR, which is it's just a temporary flight restriction area over the operating zone, because they're not up all the time. Some places are permanent flight restriction, others are temporary. When they put those up, and this is from the people on the ground operating the systems that are whistleblowers coming forward, sometimes there'll be a small, like these small jets back here, in planes, that'll stray into that TFR. They just blow them out of the sky. They knock them down. They kill all the passengers. They then incinerate them to dust, powder, and that's it. Even worse, these whistleblowers have said that sometimes that electromagnetic pulse beam goes outside the TFR, and they take out people who are trying to obey that restriction. Now, this has happened more than a few times. In fact, one of the gentlemen who's coming forward has ferried what they call the biologicals, meaning the dead bodies of these victims. Now, that's happening in U.S. airspace. Anyone listening from the FBI and DOJ, would you like to enforce the law for once? No. Instead, they're going to chase political, whatever. I'm telling you right now, there are so many horrific crimes being committed. Murder, abductions posing as aliens. It's all illegal. Knocking aircraft out of the sky. And by the way, the use of an electromagnetic pulse weapon is forbidden by the International Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, right? So the whole thing is a criminal enterprise. Never mind that the money going into these operations is flat-out embezzlement that goes to an approved congressional and presidentially overseen program, and those funds go in, and 70% of them go out the back door into an illegal operation, building this. So here's a Raytheon. This is a Raytheon triangular-shaped object. This whistleblower, it was in California in 2000, was abducted by it, and 100% of the people who see this thing would swear it was alien. It had a component of AI, almost biological in nature, and it was a Raytheon device. Now, this whistleblower was grievously injured by this, as it was his wife. Innocent people. He was an Army guy at, I believe is it Fort Lewis? Yeah. Or no, I'm sorry, Fort Irwin in California, on a routine range. And these Raytheon guys took him out to show him something just to see what his response would be. And it was one of these craft. But he was told not to take night scope binoculars. He did. So, and he was able to see the whole structure of it. But then he was able to see there was a whole flotilla of them that were all holographically being projected out. So it looked like a whole bunch of ships when it was one. Then, because he saw what he shouldn't have, they subsequently abducted him and basically tortured him. Now, I've spoken to a number of people that have had this happen. So in what universe is this okay for the Criminal Investigative Division of the Pentagon or the FBI to not pursue these cases? You have direct evidence. You have direct whistleblower testimony. We convict people of murder every day for less than this, Pat. And yet they get away with impunity. So yeah, the power of the presidency is amazing. But if you're not going to use it for something like this, then what are you going to use it for, right? So I think at a certain point, this is where my frustration with this, having been in the trenches doing this as a trying to make some sense out of this for 35 years. I started my project in 1990 when I was 34. I'm 69 now. So you get into this question of, well, will it be another 80 years before this comes out in any effective way? We're going to sit on our hands? Well, if not now, when? And if not this president, who? And if not the Congress, who else? I mean, you're going to let Russia or China take the lead on this?
They won't.
No.
Neither one of them will. Nobody will do this.
Well,
the only
we better. Hey, here's a punchline. I hate to interrupt you. I have 3 separate people don't know each other that are in comm centers, communication centers, where somehow they have intercepted traffic communications, non-human intelligence craft, where because at the rate at which we have reverse engineered ET technology and now have turned it into weapon systems against them, there's a red line that we're going to cross. And in other words, if we don't fix this problem, there are forces out in space way more powerful than anything, and certainly more powerful than the president. And am I saying this as a warning? I am, because I know for a fact that we have crossed that red line, and we are using technologies that are extraordinary against these people. And at what point? Now, they're not hostile, but they're also not going to let humans, who are a bunch of psychopaths and sociopaths who run these programs, and they are, just run amok out in space and be a threat to assets that are not human. So we have this very egocentric view of humans, like we're just the be-all and end-all, like Mr. Burchett was saying, Congressman Burchett. It's a big universe. And, we're going to have to learn to live together in peace on the planet, but also in space. Because when you cross the nuclear threshold, and that's what we've done with these technologies, you're talking about systems, when they're weaponized, that are much more destructive than a thermonuclear weapon. And those are in the hands of the worst possible people. They are not under the control of we, the people, and our representatives, or the president or Congress. So anyone who thinks it is are very badly mistaken. Hello, I'm Dr. Stephen Greer. I'm on Connect. If you'd like to ask me questions or learn more about the UFO UAP issue, contact me there, and we can unpack whatever you want to know about the disclosure efforts. about covert technologies and what's going to be coming up in the next year or so as we go forward in a large disclosure on the extraterrestrial and UFO issue.
If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.